Hey, hello everybody, and thank you for joining us here on Facebook and YouTube. It is Thursday. Really excited to be here with you for this virtual town hall. I think this is going to be an exciting one. It's going to be a really interesting one for everyone to listen to. My name is Josh Frigerio. I'm a digital journalist here at ABC15, and I cover, restaurants and bars and things to do, activities and events. And obviously, every one of those industries has been impacted and has changed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. We've talked a lot these last several months, if you've been watching the news, about cases and keeping yourself safe and being home and quarantine. I mean, this marks 5 months of really being at home, working from home, entertaining the kids. A lot of us have a lot of different responsibilities now, especially with school starting, virtual and in person. So here we just wanted to say what's open. Sometimes it can be confusing, right? What's open, what's not open, and if you're looking for things to do to be entertained. I mean, it's hot, we know that, but what could you do, right? So we really have a panel of experts here to kind of take us through that, and I'm really excited to introduce you to them. The way you see this, we've got your comments. We can see everything in the Facebook comments. We'd love for this to be an interactive discussion. So if you've got, favorite places to visit or letting us know kind of what you've done, right? Share your expertise. If you live here in Arizona, definitely become part of the conversation with us. But let's get to the panelists. We've got Josh Coddington. If you can wave your hand, Josh, so everyone knows. He is the Public Information Officer at the Arizona Office of Tourism. And pretty much the way it was described to me is that is the marketing agency for the state of Arizona. They run that website, visitarizona.com. So Josh is going to give us a lot of great insight of where the tourism industry is, and then also, recommend some places that you can travel to if you're looking to do that. We've also got Erin Acuna. Wave your hand, Erin, for us. She is the publisher of Arizona Parenting Magazine. So she's going to help us with, for families, right? Young families. What are some things that you can do if you're comfortable going outside? And if you're not, maybe some virtual activities. And then we've got Thomas Barr, and he is the executive director at Local First Arizona. So he's going to help us from a business standpoint, right? That organization is really supporting local restaurants and local businesses, small mom and pop shops in Arizona, who have also been hit hard, and just trying to talk about, the state of their industry and where that is at. Now, before we go on, I do want to make something very, very clear. We're going to have this conversation really be a balance, right? All the health officials are telling us that, right, the COVID-19 pandemic isn't over. It is still here. Our numbers are trending toward the right direction. And, health officials are giving us those safety precautions that we have, right? They're recommending us wear a mask, right? Stay home if you can, right? Go out for the essential services that you need to, wash your hands, all of those things. It's also been extremely hot here. I mean, for weeks now, right? Summer is obviously the hottest part of the year for us in Arizona, for us who have lived here, but really we've had triple-digit heat for weeks, and that is very, very dangerous. So when you do go outside, you need to be safe, but we do know that people are inside for a long time, and they're itching for places to go and things to get out. So if you can, what are those places and what are the safety precautions that they have in store for you? Okay. So really, let's just start there, right? If people are looking to get outside, right, they want to do things. Josh, what type of businesses are open?
So thanks for having me on this great town hall. And I want to let everyone know that on visitarizona.com, we actually have a list of places that are open and are closed for people to be able to check before they go somewhere, just to make sure that they can get there, get in, or additionally have some ideas of places to go. A lot of places are trying to reopen or are reopening with, as you mentioned, Josh, social distancing, mask policies, hand sanitizer. I know, for instance, the Musical Instrument Museum has reopened recently, and they have a bunch of policies to help people have a safe time there, including complimentary masks if needed. So there are a number of places around Arizona that are reopened. Great locations that I always recommend are state parks. We have some great ones that I can share with you a little later. that are less visited, but offer some really great amenities. And so lots of stuff to do out there.
Yeah, well, that was one thing. Let's start there, right? So we do know that places that are open are, restaurants are open, right? Their dining rooms can be at 50%, but all of them have been open for a while for takeout, curbside pickup, and delivery. We've started having businesses reopen, attractions, right? Movie theaters right now are closed, right? They're starting the reopening process for certain of them. But, bowling alleys, some have opened, some museums have opened. So there are a few places that are starting to open with, some of those restrictions. Let's go through, I guess, some of them. You mentioned the MIM. Aaron, I know you had a few others that might be open. What are some that you've seen for parents?
So a lot of stuff has kind of gone to a hybrid model. And first of all, thank you for having me. But a lot of Valley businesses have really rise to the occasion through this. So they've kind of done a mix of virtual, and now they're starting to phase back into opening. We've got Arizona Boardwalk. All of the attractions there are open with social distancing measures. Sea Life down at Arizona Mills, Legoland Discovery Center, as well as the Crayola Experience. Those are open. So you are definitely starting to see some businesses reopen. Phoenix Zoo is not open to the public yet. However, they are doing something really cool where they are doing once or twice a month cruise the zoo. So you can still go in, which is great this time of year because it's so hot out. There are a certain amount of tickets that are sold online. You go online, you register, you buy your ticket, and then your family gets to drive through the zoo and experience the zoo in a whole new way.
Yeah, so if you're not comfortable going outside, right, you can be comfortable inside your car, right, with your family, following those guidelines of just having a limited group. There's actually other, drive-in experiences out there too, right? Up north, we've got Arizona is one. Out of Africa, right, in Camp Verde is also doing a drive-through experience during the week. And they've actually, last I had checked, they had actually opened for walking around the zoo, but there was a drive-in component to it as well. One thing you were telling me when we spoke earlier is that, as people are wanting to venture outside, right, they're making that decision to do that. Is we've seen travel kind of pick up, old-fashioned travel, right? Road trips and everything. Yes. You were telling us you had done a story. What did you hear on that?
So what they're finding is Americans are kind of going back to the old-fashioned road trip. And there are record-setting sales for both RVs and for RV rentals. So families, since they can't go necessarily and do Disneyland or maybe their normal beach vacation, maybe they're not comfortable with going to hotels, they can rent an RV and they are hitting the road, and they're hitting the road around the states. I also know that a lot of Arizonans have been traveling to Colorado this year. Which if you've never done, it is definitely a treat for your family. You kind of hit all the elements in Colorado, so it's really pretty. But there's a lot to do right here too. So, families are taking their RVs, kind of the funny thing about it is they love the fact that they can cook within them. They have their own bathrooms, really only have to stop to get gas along the way. So it's definitely an interesting option that's out there.
Yeah, we mentioned those parks that are open. So I guess, up north and everything, Josh, if you were to travel, up north, where would, what are some places? There are places that are really, really busy, right? Sedona is always a popular place. Flagstaff is always a popular place. The Grand Canyon, right? It's a landscape destination here. Where are places, that maybe might not be busy? We'll have to check, to see if they are, but if they're kind of those lesser known hidden gems.
So there's definitely a lot of hidden gems in Arizona for people to go check out. And we have a great list on our rediscoveraz.com website, which is really designed to not only provide great ideas to Arizonans of places to go, but also kind of allows them to find a trip that matches their own comfort level during this time. So I would say, for as far as hidden gems go, one great hike that I would recommend near Red Rock State Park. It's the Eagle's Nest Trail for a specific one. It's a moderate difficulty hike, but it's a pretty good one, and it's fun. I also have some great ones in southern Arizona as well, such as Oracle State Park. It's a really great place. It's 4,000 acres, wildlife refuge, 15 trails. Trails you can use for hiking or biking or equestrian. And then they also offer a great program for kids to get educated on sort of in environmental stuff, things like that. So really a place where you can kind of take the family, and there's a great Oracle Nature Trail that's only a 1.1 mile loop. But it's really open for families. For you can take your dog, and kind of one of the cool things I like about that one for kids is that there's some signs along the trail that allow you to stop and read about what you're looking at, about the geology and stuff like that. So those are two that I would definitely recommend, not only because they're really cool, but they're also lesser visited. So you can find some parking there and have a good time with your family.
Yeah, and if if you're going to go on these trips, obviously, right, it's hot here. Safety measures have to be in place. COVID-19 safety measures have to be in place. What are some of those kind of safety measures that people need to keep in mind? Because like we said before, and I just want everyone to understand here too, is that we're not necessarily recommending all of these places, right? We're not endorsing these places, but we're just saying for those who want to go, out and about and can, still practice social distancing, right? What measures can you implement to help keep yourself safe while still following those guidelines?
Certainly, and I would also say that all of the travel options that we have on our website or that we talk about are absolutely for people who are comfortable with traveling. And so we are not telling people to do that, but we do have plenty of great options if they're comfortable with it. And on our website, visitarizona.com, on our COVID-19 page, we do have guidance for what we call being the best visitor you can be. And of course, number one on that list, as you already mentioned, is following the public health guidance that's listed by AZDHS and the state, of course, wearing masks, distancing, personal hygiene. And in addition to that, there's a lot of other good things people can do before they go somewhere, such as calling ahead, which is something we always recommend. And you can call ahead, to find out the hours of operation, to find out what amenities are available, and to find out any particular guidelines that may be for a place or a community around Arizona that you may want to visit. In addition, we also recommend trying to visit places on off times, like during the week if you can, as opposed to the weekends, just because naturally those places are going to be less busy. As you said, a lot of places are seeing very high visitation. I mean, I think state parks has had some of their highest visitation ever during this pandemic. And so, really, I know a lot of families and myself, you want to make sure you're doing it the right way. And lastly, I would say following the Arizona's Leave No Trace principles. Leave No Trace principles are for responsible tourism. It's like planning ahead, camping on durable surfaces, or respecting wildlife. Pack it in, pack it out, stuff like that. So if you follow those general guidelines, you should be in a really good spot in having a great time while you're out in Arizona.
All right. Now, Thomas, I'm going to go to you next. And so Thomas is the executive director at Local First Arizona, which is this group, as you mentioned in the beginning, that helps promote and advocate for local and small businesses. How have you seen? We talked to you back in earlier at the beginning of this pandemic, how restaurants have had to adapt, and now this has been going on, for a while now, months, really, maybe longer than some had thought that it would. How have you seen businesses have to adapt for this long-term, extension on this?
Yeah, thanks for asking and having me. businesses have had to do a lot of things to adapt. I'll give one example. For those that know Carly's Bistro in downtown Phoenix, they actually just opened up their indoor dining for the first time in several months. And they posted some of their photos on Facebook, which is what a lot of small businesses are doing to show kind of the differences in the experience of what it's going to be like in visiting their locations. They've actually renovated their entire indoor dining area so that people can feel safe coming to eat at their establishment. So there's instead of just an open floor plan, there's now more dividers. You're a healthy distance away from other people if you're coming to eat with them. And then they also have really easy ways that you can continue ordering online and doing pickup and to-go orders and things like that. So small businesses and unique local restaurants and businesses throughout all of Arizona are continuing to have to adapt to a lot of the challenges. And they are working really hard to build trust with consumers and with families that are looking for places to go. So before you go out, definitely encourage reaching out to businesses or looking at their social media. They're posting a lot of about their story and the things that they're doing to connect with people in the community. And the extra steps that they're taking to make sure that you feel safe in coming to visit them.
So as this continues on, and those are all great things, right? And great ways to connect with our local businesses. How do you think this changes the landscape of this new normal, as it's kind of been coined, going forward? I imagine that it could be the same for businesses and just travel or going about in general, right? Because we don't necessarily have an end for this. What are things that either tourists or in-state tourists are going to have to kind of get used to?
Yeah, so things are changing, obviously, as we all know, very often. And so what we're seeing from small businesses is true entrepreneurship coming out in full colors. These businesses are always having to adapt to different circumstances and different things. And so we're going to continue seeing them adapting as the situation evolves and as the situation changes. One of the things that we know that a lot of small businesses are looking forward to, those that are getting through these challenging times, is they're looking forward to just a little bit cooler weather. And hopefully that comes about, in the next 30 to 45 or 60 days here, at least in greater Phoenix. And what that will allow them to do is get outside a bit more, to use more space, to help them utilize space outside to facilitate their goods and their services. So for example, there's several cities, including Mesa, that have extended patio ordinances and sign ordinances to allow restaurants to utilize public walkways, parking spaces, and things like that for seating for their restaurants. So if you're on social media, you can look at Chicago, you can look at New York, and you'll actually see that right now, a lot of their restaurants are already doing this. They are utilizing street space and public space for extended premises for their restaurants. So it's a really unique model, and we're going to start seeing that in Arizona in the coming months as soon as the weather cools down a little bit and we can at least start doing things on patios in the evenings and things like that. We're also seeing things like gyms that are getting approved to be reopened, thinking about how they can utilize outdoor space more, whether that be CrossFit or cycling and things like that. So we're going to see a lot more adaptiveness and innovation as we continue to have a bit more flexibility with the weather.
Absolutely. I wanted to pull up a comment from Charlotte. And she was saying, I'm working at my local grocery store through this whole mess. I've got bills to pay. That's how I keep busy and I raise my family. And that is one thing that a lot of people can relate to, right? Some people have been working throughout the entire pandemic and everything that, going to school, going to work, doing activities, all of a sudden was sent straight to the house, right? Under one roof for a long period of time. And parents who already juggle so many different responsibilities have now even more responsibilities, managing the home, working, school, now helping with virtual school. So what are, there are activities that don't take you too far out, or, if you're not comfortable going out, staying inside these kind of virtual activities that we've talked a little bit about. Aaron, can you jump into a few more of those virtual activities and kind of what those are and what those look like?
Sure. So Idea Museum and Children's Museum of Phoenix have both gone to some fantastic online content. I believe Children's Museum, any day of the week, you can go to their Facebook page and they do a different theme for every day of the week. Kids can get on and participate. Idea Museum is doing much the same thing, where you can go on their website, follow their Facebook page, and they're doing arts and crafts and different activities, a lot of different story times. Girl Scouts has stepped up and they are offering a kindergarten readiness program. That is a virtual program online. The girls can get on, they do a weekly Zoom, they get to know girls, they break it down by area, they look by zip code, and they get on, they're doing story time, they're learning to listen, they're learning these skills they're gonna need when they do eventually get back into the classroom. So there's definitely things out there. You can always go on our website or our Facebook page. We try to do a good job of keeping everything up to date on there. Facebook, you would find it under our events page. We're constantly combing the area, seeing who's doing what. And there are a lot of free things out there and a lot of low cost things that families can participate in.
Yeah, there's a comment from...
Add to that a little bit. Oh, I was going to say, I could add to that a little bit also. In addition to what Arizona Parenting has, our office also has a great page with a bunch of things that you can do virtually without leaving your house at all. And two that came to mind immediately, one of my favorites is the MIM again, and their MIM Kids section of the website.
Yes.
Has some great virtual things for kids to do. One of my favorites, and one probably a lot of parents will, I know, love, is the idea that MIM will teach you how to make a musical instrument at home, or how to allow your kids to make a musical instrument at home. So you can video and then go ahead and have a concert with your whole family, and with every kid having their own little instrument to play. So I thought that was really fun. And in addition, the Grand Canyon Conservancy has a awesome virtual Grand Canyon hike where you can really go all over and see an amazing amount of our most famous wonder of the world just by clicking in and going through your computer. So, I mean, I think one of the greatest things that's happened, if we're trying to find a silver lining here, is making us go towards focusing on not just regular virtual experiences, but really pushing those to the outer limits of what we can do. And that's been really amazing to see across the hospitality industry and really across society.
Yeah, producer Cortland, this comment came back a little bit ago, but it's from Anna, A-N-N-A. And she says, we're homeschooling, kids skateboarding, puzzles, playing games online, so many things kids can do to stay busy, and so and some of those activities really could be free if you already have, like the skateboard at home, or you're already connected to the internet. Parents have definitely had to be, innovative, during all of this. So Anna, thank you so much for kind of letting us know what's going on in your world and for sharing that with us. I know I was seeing a few others, but if you have any other ideas that we haven't, talked about here, some of these things could be on the weekends. Some of them can be, during the week. Really, just kind of an idea to explore all these different options that you have. Kind of for us to choose depending on your comfort level. In doing that. One thing we want to say was, free activities, right? Not everything. Sometimes things cost money. Some of the other free activities that I was doing research on that I wanted to share was obviously those virtual tours and destinations. But also the libraries. A lot of our libraries in our cities and towns, Mesa, Chandler, Phoenix, Peoria, Glendale, they're open. Some of them are open just for curbside and pickup, where you can go online and you can reserve a book, or you can check out an audiobook. You can reserve a DVD or a movie. and then you can go pick it up. That way you don't have to go inside, be in an enclosed space, and then you kind of can just bring that home. There's a lot of digital books or audiobooks, so you can just use your library card. Those are free. You just have to sign up for one, and then you can connect, through your computer, your phone, your tablet, and you've got those at your disposal as well. And then I believe there was one, and I believe it was Mesa, but you'll have to double check on the website. But one of them was opening for resources. So if people need access to internet or need access to a computer to look things up, that's definitely a resource that's out there that you can choose to take advantage of as well, if you wanted to. So I thought I would share that. Let's talk about just some of those other destinations, right? Thomas, you mentioned the weather is going to be cool at some point soon. We hope maybe in October. So what are some of those destinations that people just have to check out if we're just looking ahead, right? If we're just thinking, okay, listen, I can't take a weekend trip right now. I can't take a day trip. I'm just planning. Whoever wants to jump in on this one, just kind of some of those places that you can go once it gets cooler.
Yeah, well, one of the things that we're actually doing at Local First is we're kind of combining these two ideas together. So we know that there's still a huge pool in the community of people that want to support small businesses and support their locally owned businesses. But also there's all these people that are looking for something fun to do or something interactive to do with the family at home or with the kids. And so all of September, we're actually going to have a fun campaign. It's called Indie Week XXL. We usually do Indie Week during the week of the 4th of July to celebrate independent businesses. But this year we're doing it all of September. On our website, there's going to be a fun downloadable call to action card. It's like a bingo card where you can take the kids and cross off different things on the card. And then each week we're going to be giving away gift cards to your local businesses across Arizona. So one of the cool things you can do on the card is plan your next rural Arizona vacation. So this could be, going down to Bisbee and visiting all of the cool shops and things like there down in Southern Arizona, maybe going through Sonoyta and checking out their wineries. Or maybe going up north and passing through the Verde Valley and going up to Cottonwood and checking them out, or going all the way up to the corner, going up to Kingman or Page. There's so many great rural Arizona towns. And so that's just one of the cool blocks on the card. Half of the blocks, you don't have to pay anything to do. It's as simple as leaving a review for your favorite local business. And then other things are fun, like ordering takeout from your favorite local restaurant. Again, this is happening all of September, and it's free for families to participate in to get out there and support local businesses.
And how important is that support for local businesses right now? Have you been able to kind of, look at like the figures from the beginning of the pandemic to now?
Yeah, it's never going to stop being as utmost important as possible. Businesses are continuing to struggle. I mean, as soon as the pandemic hit, businesses' regular income completely halted. Now we're seeing some businesses that are able to get through the challenges look at starting to reopen, but at limited capacity, right? While we're operating in an Arizona summer. So it's really important that we think through not only the daily activities that we might have while we're, typically out in the car and traveling and things like that, or going to work, that the businesses that we're not frequenting anymore. But think about home projects that you might complete. Think about memberships you might keep to a place like the Phoenix Zoo. Keep those things going so that you can support those businesses through challenging times.
Now, Josh, obviously, we talked about, how hard hit was the tourism industry, initially on. Just give us some, groundwork or foundation of where that is.
Yeah, so the tourism industry across Arizona and across everywhere, really, of course, has been very hard hit by the pandemic. If you look at just an estimate on loss in visitor spending, which is a good metric to kind of start from, we're looking at a loss of visitor spending of about $7 billion. And that estimate was given a little while ago, so I would imagine that it's probably a little higher now. And $7 billion represents about a third of all the visitor spending that we would see in a given year in Arizona. And so it really makes things tough in a couple ways. Number one, that visitor spending supports tourism jobs. And we've lost at least 70% of tourism jobs throughout this pandemic, which, as Thomas mentioned, is very difficult because those are lots of jobs at resorts and hotels, but those are also lots of jobs at small businesses and in small businesses that cater specifically to tourists. So that's very challenging. And another way that lower visitor spending is a problem is that it also reduces the tax revenue that goes to local communities and to the state. And tourism tax revenue actually funds about 1/10 of the state's operating budget on any given year. And so when we lose out on that money, it makes it harder for the state to provide the services and types of things that we're all used to having. So we've really seen a pretty big hit, but outside of that, we're really looking towards what we can do to help soften that blow and to help businesses across Arizona move forward during this time and look at what the future is going to be like and how we're going to recover. One thing that the Arizona Office of Tourism has done is provided a tourism strategic recovery plan, and that is for all businesses and places and communities across Arizona, and it provides some real good tactics on recovery and on helping tourism organizations and communities make a plan for the future to go through while we all learn to move forward with this virus.
Has the communication, been, have you had to communicate, daily or weekly with, kind of other, chambers of commerce, visitor bureaus, throughout the state?
Absolutely, especially early on and through the pandemic and through our toughest times in Arizona in the pandemic. Our office maintains regular communication with many of the other tourism organizations across the state. We really do talk to them, and we get feedback. They let us know what's going on in their community, and then it's our job to take that information and respond to it as best we can, because really our number one job is supporting the industry in the state while we're going through this. And so we've done that throughout. And the tourism strategic recovery plan that I just mentioned was developed with input from many what we call destination management organizations, or DMOs, across the state, and other people that have tourism related businesses. So yeah, communication is of the utmost importance to us always.
Okay. Now, Aaron, obviously with AZ Parenting, you're hearing from a lot of parents, right, and families, and that's where, the content of events that you're trying to provide information to them. What are some of the things that you've heard from parents a lot throughout all of this?
Well, especially with school returning currently, some of the schools are starting to go back in person. Most of them are still on an online format. And the parents are really overwhelmed right now between managing their work schedules, helping the children. Oftentimes, there's more than one child in the home. You've got children at several different grade levels, and they're all navigating, trying to do their work, do their classwork, log on time. So there's a lot of stress out there right now. And then also you've had the stir crazy factor, quite frankly, go on, where, these families, for the most part, they haven't been able to do their normal summer routines, like go to summer camp, go to the pool, play with their friends, in large groups, go to birthday parties. And so they're really starting to look for different ways to kind of interact. I know a lot of the after school programs they are launching in-person programs with socially distanced measures in them. So they're following CDC guidelines, but your child can go back and they can take a music class. They can take an acting class. They can take an art class. And if you're not comfortable with that, they have programs where you can bring it home. I know Carrie Curran Art Studio, they will do both an in-person classes and at a virtual courses. As You Wish Pottery, that's something fun the entire family can go do. If you're comfortable, you can go in studio. Great time to make a gift for grandma and grandpa. Maybe you haven't seen them, birthdays coming up, grandparents' day. You can take the kids, go do an art project, or if you're not comfortable, they have a pickup program where you go and you pick up all the supplies, you bring them to your house, and maybe you make a family night of it.
Yeah, you mentioned those camps for the virtual learning, and the Arizona Science Center, while the center is closed, they've gone to those virtual experiences on their Facebook page. They're taking some of those experiments that they do inside, and they're showcasing them on their Facebook page. But today they had actually just sent out a release shortly before we were going to do this town hall that they're going to start offering one of those camps per se, where you can go inside the Science Center, and they'll have an area where kids can log on for virtual learning. They'll have somebody there to help them log on and make sure they're in the classroom doing their work. And then once they're finished, they'll have some sort of like STEM programming for them to participate in. Now that isn't free. There's a cost, and it can be, I think it was a couple $100 a week, like $200 a week between members and non-members. So I think each person will have to research, if that is worth it for them to do, or if it's in their budget, right? As kind of an option for that. We're wrapping up. We've got a couple minutes left, so I just wanted to make sure. Is there anything, Josh, that we missed that you wanted us to hit on?
I think the discussion has been really great here, and I would say that mainly I think the thing to think of it as is that this time is really. We've really seen the best in people come out, I think, and we've seen people, our fellow Arizonans and business owners, really evolve in a tough situation to try to not only get through it, but even in ways that we hadn't seen before. And it's just all the virtual offerings, or like. At our Valley resorts, we've seen resorts and hotel partners who are willing to really redefine the guest experience into what guests need now and what instills confidence. And Thomas mentioned it again, like consumer confidence is so important in helping the economy recover to levels which we had before. And I mean, establishing consumer confidence in the hospitality industry is a lot of what's going on right now, which is increasing contactless entry or contactless check-ins, and informing guests of cleanliness and sanitation and distancing policies at resorts, and also letting those guests see that stuff is going on while they're there. Right now, we're in the middle of staycation season in Arizona. There's some really great deals to be had at our Valley resorts here. But also there are some changes there as far as being around a pool with the social distancing and smaller groups and that sort of thing. And so I'm really seeing a lot of great innovation to what is needed during this unique time. And I think that we're going to see that going forward as the industry works on revitalizing and re-energizing. And, our office, the Arizona Office of Tourism, of course, is very, very involved in helping that happen. And so that's just a thought that I have on the recovery here.
Okay, it sounds like we'll kind of, we'll be in it here, but it's going to take kind of a community to bring kind of all of us together and help each other out. I wanted to get to Shelly's comment. I'm going to pull it up here. She said, I've been focusing on my art and taking online art classes to support the local arts education. I've been careful to have meals delivered to support local restaurants. We need to support local businesses as we can. We are in this together. So definitely one idea that Shelly is doing. I know somebody earlier was saying that they were, working out a lot and doing a lot of, home projects at the house. I think they said they were, doing stuff in the yard. So definitely a lot of ideas out there. So as we finish up, I really just kind of want to recap, kind of where we started. First off, thank everybody for joining us on this town hall. Thanking all of you for joining us as well. Where we are actually in terms of businesses, reopening, right? The state issued a bunch of benchmarks, and this week we've started actually getting some more information. So those state benchmarks was a county by county benchmarks, and once you meet them in terms of percent positivity and the number of cases, it kind of dictates the level of community spread, and that dictates how restaurants and businesses and movie theaters and water parks, some of those industries that were shut down, how they can reopen. But the Department of Health Services has allowed businesses to apply. It's called an attestation form, and if they get approved, then they can reopen. So this week we've started seeing a few movie theaters get approved, some gyms get approved, and fitness centers, and then a few bars. We have that list on ABC15.com. And if we get more information and more updates, we'll continue to follow all of that. I think that's where we're going to leave it. If you guys go to abc15.com/town hall, you'll be able to not only view this town hall, our previous town halls. We did one a couple weeks ago on mental health that is really good to check out. But we've also got links to some of those places that we mentioned during this town hall: the Phoenix Zoo, Arizona, visitarizona.com, Local First, and then Arizona Parenting. So I just wanted to say thank you so much. Thomas Barr, thank you very much. He's from Local First Arizona. Aaron Acuna was Arizona Parenting Magazine, so thank you for joining us. And then Josh Coddington from the Arizona Office of Tourism. So that's where we will leave it. We do have another live stream at 1:30-ish with Katie Ramel and Garrett Archer. That's going to focus on today's COVID numbers and kind of those trends and where we see the state. So we will make sure to tune in back here for that live stream. Take care, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.